Hi, good morning and welcome to our meditation. Today is the 24th of January. I would like to meditate with you in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1. As God's co-workers, we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain. Not to receive God's grace in vain. We know by reading the second epistle of Paul to the Corinthian church that Paul is defending his ministry and the ministry of the apostles, those who are preaching the gospel, those who are ambassadors for Christ. But it is also for every one of us. It was for the church that received that letter to understand, as Paul is saying in 2 Corinthians 5:18, that we have received a ministry from God that is called the ministry of reconciliation. All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation, says Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 18. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20, he says, "We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God." So we are Christ's ambassadors. Interesting that Paul is not saying that God called us to do our own work, and then as we are working, we ask God to bless our work and to help us to do our work. It's not our work, it's God's work. We in his grace, he invited us to join him in his work. He is working, and we are working with him in his work. With is this magical, that I call a magical preposition. It's God and us. We are together, working together. It's not just our work, it is his work. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 10, Paul says, but by the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace to me was not without effect. No, I worked harder than all of them, yet not I, but the grace of God that was with me. It's not me, says Paul, it was the grace of God. We've seen the persecuted, that the church has been persecuted today, and this church it keeps on working. It's struggling. It's dying even physically, but the church cannot be conquered by hell. That work is persevering because they have understood that it is not them, it's the grace of God in them. We work, but it is the grace of God in us. All the glory will be to God. Some people tended to think that it's the work of their denomination, of their church. But it's not the work of the church. It's the work of God. It's the work of God's grace. Don't receive God's grace in vain. Let God do. He's going to do what he is the only one that can do. He is the only one who can save. He's the only one who can transform our lives. He's going to transform our lives, but we have to work with him, not apart from him. As Jesus says, he said and he's still saying, apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from God's grace, we can do nothing. God bless you.